Hey everybody, just a quick heads up. Today's episode is not the usual lore episode that you're used to. In light of June 11th, 2023 Xbox Games Showcase reveal of Avowed, me and some of the boys from Avowedcast got together to discuss our initial reactions to the trailer. And so the episode that you're hearing today on this podcast is actually an episode of Avowedcast. If you haven't heard of Avowedcast before, I highly recommend go checking out, especially if you're a fan of Pillars of Eternity, Avowed, or RPGs in general. It's a bunch of us from the community getting together, discussing games with Pillars of Eternity in focus, and Avowed, especially now that it's kind of in the limelight, and I'm sure it will be in months to come, or especially next year. But as I'm going through the reveal trailer, picking through it frame by frame, just wanting to see if we can spot anything lore-wise that I need to let you guys know about, there's obviously a lot to go over, and there's discussions to be had. So me and the guys got together, and we discussed our opinions. And Tsora was gracious enough to let me have the audio from that to use as this week's episode for you guys to listen to. Come next week, I will have a normal episode for you guys to go through. I'm going to go through the trailer. I'm going to point out anything that is lore related in that and any thoughts that I may or may not have. If you have any questions about the trailer or any lore stuff or opinions on things that you want me to answer in next week's episode, send me an email at worldofaora@gmail.com. But that's enough of me talking. Here is Avowedcast's next episode, which should be releasing on their podcast feed tonight at the same time. They will also have a second episode featuring some of the other guys who are from Europe with their thoughts on the matter. But hopefully you'll check that out and check Avowedcast out if you're not already subscribed. Thanks everyone for listening. Let's get right into it.
Welcome to Avowedcast, the fan community podcast for Obsidian Entertainment's future RPG game titled Avowed. We have a special episode today. The second trailer for Avowed just dropped this past weekend at the Xbox Showcase, and we wanted to share our thoughts. The first segment is from our North American hosts, which includes Gingerino, Jesse, and Remeran. After their responses to the trailer, we're going to shift over to the European host, which includes Parenthesis, Kiwi, and Jedmandu. These, of course, are immediate impressions. We just watched the trailer. We haven't really had the luxury of time to examine and digest everything yet, but we do want to give you our initial thoughts. We knew our listeners would be curious to have a general idea about what we thought of the trailer and what we saw in the trailer, so that's what we're going to give you today. So without further ado, let's head over to our North American group and hear what they have to say. Let's do this. We just saw the Xbox Showcase trailer for Avowed. We were expecting it. We'd heard some rumors beforehand drop that it was a pretty heavy 100% yes that we'd see it. I kind of thought we'd see it at the very beginning, but they started with Fable. I kind of thought it would also be maybe one more thing at the end, but it was kind of tucked in the first, I guess, after the first 5 or 6 reveals, it kind of was plugged in at that point. Which was weird for me. I thought this would be one of the shining gems that they would really want to stick to, but it was kind of shoved in there between a bunch of other stuff. But we just saw it. It runs about, I guess it's, what is it, about over, after you skip the, Obsidian has this new like lead in, which I thought was cool. They have this new like graphical lead in.
That was badass. I like that one. I was like,
yeah,
is that the guy from New Vegas? Or is that the guy from, this is Obsidian.
Yeah, I'm glad they did that. They got a lot to be proud of, and it's good that they put that out there. And it says 20 years of making your worlds your way. So it's a great motto. It's a good look. That took about 30 seconds of the trailer, and then the rest of the trailer was about 2 minutes long. So let's do this before we dig in too heavily into things like lore, story, location, graphics, combat, that kind of stuff. I just want to get your overall feel. Like, what did you, when you finished watching it and you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, 3 fucking years later, what are you feeling? So I'm going to go reverse order what's on my screen, and I'm going to start with Remeran. What was your gut? Are you like jumping up and down? Are you buying plane tickets to Irvine to throw them a party? What are you doing? What are you feeling about what you saw?
I was crazy excited. I mean, I was watching it with my brother and my friend, and neither of them played the Pillars games. as soon as I saw Kai, this new companion, start talking, I didn't know his name was Kai at the time, but I was like, "Oh, Amawa," and I was like,
Yeah.
I got up on my seat, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "This is Avowed, this is Avowed." So I'm just excited. I'm really positive about the trailer. I do understand. I did like as it was going through, I thought, "Oh, I see what Jez meant when he said it was Outer Worlds with fantasy." Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I
Like
could
when
see that. Outer
I could
Worlds
see it,
Aora.
but not in a negative aspect. Like when I first heard him say that, I was like, "Oh no, I wouldn't like that." But when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I could see what he means." But in my view, it was a positive thing.
Okay, cool. I like that take. Jesse, I'm assuming you saw it, and what are your feelings about what you saw?
I was watching it with a friend over Discord, and he was talking like half the trailer. But um, I my first thought was, "Is this Assassin's Creed?"
Well,
Walking off the
actually,
ship,
it's
it looks
funny.
just like it.
It's funny at the very beginning. That's what I was like, wait, what is this? Because I'd missed I jumped in a little bit after the Obsidian lead in. And when I first started watching it, because I was in the car actually, I saw them walking on the plane, walking on the dock. And I was like,
Yeah,
what? It had that
yeah.
look.
It looks. I so thought it was Assassin's Creed. My buddy thought it was Assassin's Creed. Because when I said it, he went, "Yeah, I think so. That's gonna be a remake." And then, I saw like the magic and stuff, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's Avowed! It's Avowed, dude! We haven't gotten a trailer in 3 years." And
Finally.
and then I told him to shut up so I could listen.
Right.
um, I thought I initially thought it looked great. I do see what they meant by very Outer Worldsy, and I can agree with that. But I thought that it looked good. I mean, the textures I didn't immediately look at and be like you. I was really impressed by all the spell effects and everything. I would have liked a little bit more of like gameplay and not just really flashy, uh, tiny clips of combat. But I liked what I saw. I was
Cool.
yeah, I'm more excited now.
Excellent. Good. Gingerino, what were you doing? When did you see it live? Because I wasn't really on Discord or anything.
So no, I didn't see it live per se. I was in church at the time, and I forgot to
Oh
turn my
wow.
phone off. And so as you can expect, the moment that Avowed
Yeah,
was
it's
revealed,
blowing up.
Discord, Reddit, messages, everything was going insane. And that's when I put the tweet out, because I went out to the bathroom, quote unquote, and I put the tweet out. Yeah, I was so excited. Watched it right after I got home, and I don't know. I was over the moon. I enjoyed the little minute we had. I like that intro too that Obsidian did. That was cool.
Yeah.
It was a nice remake on that. But yeah, I was satisfied with it. I recognized the Amauen right away, and anyone that doesn't is a filthy heathen. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that's first when you see that, and the rendering on that was fantastic. I feel like that was CGI. But yeah, I don't think that's I
It
I
was
don't know. Who
supposed to be
knows?
all in game, but I mean, I
I
guess they
know.
could
I
have
know.
CG. They could have had like CG in game cutscenes, right? So
I mean, it looks so good though. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that's Kai, the narrator, my one, and very, very convincingly, you could tell right away if you played the game exactly what it was. So my impression, like I said, I was in the car, I was on the way to an event. I knew what time it was, so I'd popped on my phone, and right as I popped on, I saw walking on the planks, and like Jesse, I first thing since I missed the Obsidian lead in, I was like, oh, new Assassin's Creed, interesting. This will be cool. And then of course Kai, and then I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I know exactly what this is. I kind of freaked out because I'm like, oh my god, it's actually happening, and I didn't expect it. Like I said, just to be kind of tucked in like a little Minecraft DLC or something. They just kind of slid it in the middle of the first part of the it didn't get the spotlight I thought it was going to get, but I guess they have to do what they have
that's
to
just where
do.
they're at,
I can
and
agree
that's
with
fine.
that.
I think it's more than enough. Like you saw what we've done for 3 years on just a reveal trailer.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So we got another 3 years in us. Yeah,
there we
excellent.
go. I could.
I mean, it does say at the end 2024, which is kind of what we had originally predicted after some of the things that had leaked. I don't know which one of you said it, but and this just pains me in so many ways to say this, but Jez was right. I mean, pretty much point for point, everything he said was right.
Boy,
I mean,
how does that feel, Tsora? How does it feel to say all of that?
Well, it's not necessarily that he was right. It was that they were using him as their PR person, and that he anyway. Never mind. Don't get me.
You couldn't quite
anyway,
stick the landing there.
Honestly, you got to give him credit. The guy, everything pretty much he said was right. It is pretty much. I mean, this is not a negative. It is essentially Outer Worlds fantasy. Yeah, Outer Worlds and Aora. I mean, the graphics were Outer Worldsy, and I didn't think Outer Worlds graphics were bad. I didn't think they were AAA, but I didn't think they were bad.
I get the
they're
Outer Worlds feel.
Go ahead.
I feel like the Outer Worlds feel just comes from like it's almost like they used back. What do you want to say? Like the behind the curtains part of the Outer Worlds and games.
The assets.
Not just the assets, but I mean like the way that there's two companions and even just how far they are.
Similar.
Like it all has that kind of that same mechanic to it. It has that same I almost feel like the engine's the same. I mean it is kind of. So I feel like that they just learned from the Outer Worlds and they're bringing that into Avowed. But it doesn't look Outer Worldsy. At least it didn't look Outer Worldsy to me. Like I didn't get that same feel.
Well, it didn't look fuchsia vomit, thank God, but it did look Outer Worldsy to me. That's not bad though. Like I gave Outer Worlds an A+. I think Outer Worlds is a fantastic game for what it is. It's a great story. The companions in it were just amazing. It is a great game for what it is. It wasn't a AAA game, but it was a great game. So that was my impression when it finished, is that, wow, finally, this is great. I'm glad they're finally opening up. And though we're not going to talk about it here, at the same time the trailer dropped, they released a PC Gamer article where Obsidian kind of broke the silence. And we'll be talking about that in a future podcast. But they reveal a lot of other details about the game and the direction that it took and why they took that direction. But again, we're not going to get into that. This is just the trailer. So
it's funny that
if we back up
it's funny you guys said it looked like Assassin's Creed. Because I watched it knowing it was Avowed, and at first I'm like, this isn't featured in the Deadfire, is it? Yeah. So.
Oh right.
You know me, I'm looking at it from a lore perspective. I'm trying to place the timeline, and I saw an island of Maua. I saw a guy on the docks, but I mean, thankfully, he then said the word Living Lands, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I kind of want to start there if we can do that real quick. I want to read to you. I copied the narration. So the Amawa narrator named Kai, I want to read exactly word for word what he says. And then I kind of want to give you a chance to respond to that as to what the meanings behind some of that is. So he starts out by saying, people don't like you very much. Speaking of you visiting this place, you've been sent to the Living Lands by an emperor that couldn't bother to come here himself.
It's very clearly a dear empire.
That's kind of my gut feeling. I mean, it wasn't really said that, but that's kind of when it said brought from an emperor that didn't want to come himself to investigate some plague that seems to be corrupting our very souls. What are they referring to?
I don't really know.
Definitely some soul magic.
Yeah, there's
there.
something animantic. I don't know what though.
Yeah. Well, you saw that in the trailer. There's an Adra pillar connected to a machine that looks really cool.
So it's
definitely some animancy.
Definitely animancy, soul magic. That whole thing we learned about in the Pillars games. And then he goes on to say, "You want us to trust you, but the truth is, you scare us. The way you fight, the power you wield, the secrets you keep. You're either here to save us or destroy us. So now you have all this power. What are you going to do with it?"
What do we think?
And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the narration we got, along with the images. But from that narration, from what he said, any impressions on lore, story, how this fits into what we know of Aora?
A lot of people are saying Watcher. Like they're thinking that we're going to be another Watcher character like we were in Pillars of Eternity. It's based off of like the description of you're powerful, you have secrets and all this, and you kind of scare us. Because I mean, what else would scare an average person in the Living Lands? I don't know.
I mean, I think it's like kind of like a double whammy type thing where you are probably a watcher. That's the power that they're referring to, but you're also an agent of this really
and that's what I
powerful
was
nation,
wondering is like,
Aether.
is it actual like magic power, or is it just like the level of authority that this person has, and so they're not actually a watcher? And they don't really give us a clear answer, which is I'm sure is on
Yeah.
purpose.
Oh yeah, it's definitely intentionally vague to a point, but we have more than we've ever had before with that text around
Definitely.
the narration. I think there's knowing them and the way that they craft their stories and the way that they write and how their writing is so intentional. I think that if we pick through that and we reflect on it more, which we'll do for the next podcast, there's probably a lot more into that than we think. I don't think this is somebody just, sitting on the toilet, this sounds good, jotting this down. I think every sentence and every word here has some meaning. I'm still digesting it. So definitely something that we need to continue to look at. So the lore and the story, is there anything else image-wise in the trailer that you think reveals more about the story, or what we're going to be tasked with, or what you think the main antagonist might be?
There's definitely a lot of stuff in the trailer. I did like a quick sort of write up on Reset Era where I just like did screenshots of the trailer and talked a little bit about the lore, but this is for people who aren't, pillars players, but I noticed a lot of flags, Adirian flags, and enemies with tabards with the symbol of the Adirian Empire. I noticed flags for the Valian Republic, Rauatai, and Raid Saris.
There was banners for a lot of the factions here at this one port city, and I'm like, what are they all doing here?
Mm-hmm. So they're all doing. Yep, I noticed that that Adra pillar with machines attached to it. So there's definitely some animancy involved in the story. I also noticed a couple. Like I noticed that he was the player was fighting dwarves. So I read that you're only able to play as human and elves, and that kind of makes sense if you're from the Adirian Empire because they're a human elf society. But it looks like there's obviously other races because there's the Almaoan companion, and then you see him fighting dwarves. What I want to know is, are there going to be godlike? Because we didn't see any of them in the
But
trailer.
I mean, they're supposed to be rare, so that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I didn't see a single one.
A lot of, and also another thing in the trailer, a lot of Zarups.
Yeah,
the reptilian humanoids.
Which is exciting because where you find
them.
Zarups, you find dragons.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, there's no question, and I'm surprised they didn't put one of those in there. But yeah, that's definitely in there. I do think that it sounds to me, or it looks to me like, from what I could see, that it's going to be your companions. That's where you're going to get the flavor of all these different nations and of all these different races. And that since you can only play as a human or an elf, I'm assuming that's kind of where you're going to pull in your story. For those who aren't familiar with Aora at all, they got to have some way to give you an essence of what these different races are, right? So that through those companions is probably where you're going to get that, at least at this point. And then probably in a DLC you'll be able to play others. But yeah, so I think it's an interesting story. When's the timeline again? When's this taking place?
We don't know.
We don't know.
I would imagine, because me and another friend were talking about this, if you had any game happen after Deadfire, there's so much convoluted information that you would have to try to give a new player to this world. It doesn't make sense that you'd want to have a game after the Pillars games. So, but it could be either like during or in between Pillars 1 and 2. It could be also during either of those games. But if it was beforehand, it would be probably pretty shortly beforehand, just because we're seeing like Valian Trading Company that there.
Yep.
Yeah.
One flag I didn't recognize.
Which is a major faction major faction in PoE 2, and we don't know. I mean, you might know this, Ginger. How long they've been a faction, like pre-Deadfire.
The Valian Trading Company has been a faction for a long time, but whether or not they have an established presence in Living Lands is kind of unknown. But the Huana being there also interesting because it's like the opposite side of the world, and I don't see why they would have ever gone somewhere else and set up shop unless it was for a very important reason. So I don't know.
I mean, it definitely kind of paints the Living Lands as this huge trading port. I don't know. That's kind of the impression I got.
Definitely does.
Which is not what I thought would be. That's not what I thought it would be.
What if it wasn't so much a trading
okay.
port, but like, what if something happened at the Living Lands and everyone in Aora is like, okay, we need to each get our asses over there and deal with this. And your character just happens to come from Adir, because that would also explain why all these factions are there, including the Huana.
Or kind of like an arms race. Something interesting is there, and everyone's trying to go there.
Exactly. And so it's not so much like a trading post.
Like
it's more like just this hub where all these different cultures happen to be setting up shop and working from. Almost kind of like prospector mine type thing. You know, you go to a town and you just represent different companies.
Oh yeah. That's a good.
Yeah.
I could see that. That's a good point. That's the prospector idea is a good way to put it. I don't know. As far as when it happens, I'm kind of leaning towards definitely not after Pillars of Eternity 2. So I think the idea of maybe concurrently has some weight there. I kind of like that a little bit, but I also feel like this could be like a right before the events of the first game. It could also be that, I guess. And it's interesting that they didn't really give us more clues about that, but I'm sure we'll get that later on. So I want to move on from lore and just really kind of talk about the location. So the Living Lands we knew a little bit about, not a lot, but a little bit that was written through lore and such in the other games. What is your impression of what you saw from the environment? All of the lands that they kind of flashed and showed in the trailer. Is that what you envisioned as the Living Lands when you kind of were playing it through in your head before you saw the way they graphically represented it? Does anybody want to jump in with what they thought of that?
It wasn't quite what I was expecting, because the Living Lands in my mind is like from valley to valley, there can be a drastic change in environment and biome. And I didn't see a lot of drastic changes. There was at one point like a volcano, and then there was like a kind of dead, cliffy, rocky area, and then there was kind of like this nice meadowy leading to the shoreline. But it wasn't drastic from one point to another. But whatever. That being said, there's a lot of the game we clearly haven't seen yet.
Did you think it was diverse, Remeran? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think it was pretty diverse, depending on, like, there were some scenes that were underground, so I couldn't tell if there's like a whole underground area kind of like Skyrim, or if that was just kind of like a dungeon area. But like there was definitely, I think it was definitely diverse. I don't know if I would call it like inside the Living Lands lore book where it explains like how diverse it is. I imagined, very, very diverse, like very different biomes. But I don't think I saw that.
I kind of imagined my what I was expecting was kind of more wild. I think more untamed, more wild, more maybe jungle? Jungle, more either tropical or foresty, or we saw a lot of plains. I mean, we saw a lot of hills and rolling hills and such, and that's fine, but did we see any snow? I don't even think we saw.
I didn't see a desert. I didn't see jungle or forest, and that was the kind of thing I was keeping an eye out for. So, but, how much have we really been shown, right?
Right. Yeah. Maybe that wasn't their point. Maybe their goal wasn't to give us a real grasp of this location. They're really with that. I think with that trailer, they're really what they're trying to do is let's present to people who aren't as familiar with Aora, because obviously that's going to be 90% of their audience anyway. And let's kind of give them a feel for how this game plays, I think is really kind of what they focus on, which is why I think they leaned into the combat. I mean, I would say 80% of this trailer is combat. Yeah. I mean, it's just combat, whether it's magic,
story, or dialogue showing where you're talking to characters.
Yeah. I mean, it's just fighting all the time, and then magic. Holy crap. Are we even able to play this game in a play style that's non-magical? I mean,
Someone did ask on Twitter, in the Avowed Twitters, they linked the trailer, and somebody said, "Are there dialogue trees in this?" And they responded with a picture of the Obsidian logo, which means obviously, yeah.
Which means
even Grounded has dialogue options, for goodness sake. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So I know, Jesse, you talked about a little bit about how you were impressed, or how the magic seemed interesting to you. What is your feeling about that kind of combat? I mean, there's a couple of things that I would be curious your thoughts on, because one, the whole drawing of crap in the air, which is great and cool and beautiful, that definitely means slightly slower combat, might be more anticipatory combat, not like quick. How do you feel about all that you saw with the magic combat?
So when it comes to magic, I think a game like Morrowind does it really, really well, but really, really well for its time. I think magic should be overpowered in a way, like have a much higher ceiling for what you can and cannot do with it, than say hand to hand, or any sort of melee or ranged combat. So, but the issue with that, at least from a gameplay perspective, is balancing. So I would think that if you're gonna have magic that feels really powerful and meaty and rewards the player for seeking, the secrets of the universe, then you would have to balance it out somehow by making things slow. Or, I mean, the only other option that you would have would be severely limiting how much magic they can cast, and that's just not fun, because in that case you're just waiting for magic to come back, essentially. And that's a very cheap way of balancing magic as a whole. So if you have spells that are, they take more time to cast, but they have a better effect,
right?
Versus,
and they definitely showcase some of the effects in there with the massive fire explosions and the, I guess they definitely showcase some of the power with it. I'm not opposed. I didn't dislike what I saw as far as the magic. I thought it was cool. I thought it was definitely different. I mean, you don't necessarily see that a lot from, playing in first person games. I mean, you saw it maybe a little bit in the Elder Scrolls games, but not to this extent. And definitely putting a lot of cool animations around it, which I like as well. I think that's all great. Again, my only concern was we really didn't see much of anything else. There was a sword blocking an attack. There was the pistols at the beginning, but I don't know if they just thought magic sells, or if it really is that big a part of this story in this game.
Just woven into it. I wonder if the circles and the drawing is just a way of timing out spells, because I don't know if they're gonna go the mana route with this.
I can agree with that. I would think that it might just be there to.
Right. So if it takes longer to cast, then that's how they kind of do. That's how they handle the equivalency of like how mana works, right? So more powerful, takes longer to cast, then you might get your ass bitten off by the time you get the spell off, right? So I mean, and that's cool. That brings a lot of that edginess, that anticipation, like, oh, can I pull this off before he stabs me in the gut?
Ever more important for that reason too. Like, can they hold them off for the 10 full seconds it takes for you to power up the kill everybody spell?
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's
my
what
nuclear
it's called,
bomb
canon,
spell,
for sure. The
evidently.
nuclear bomb spell.
Yes. So we did see some creatures in there. Do you guys do you have any thoughts on some of the things we saw? We saw quite a few. I think they showed it. I didn't count them, but I'm at least 5 in my head right now that I can remember. Did any of them kind of remind you of anything you saw in the Pillars games?
I can't remember. What did we see? We saw Zareps, the little kobold-like things.
Besides
bear.
Sarps, I
There was
don't think so.
Oh, yeah, that's
there was
right,
this
an
big like
ogre,
ogre
yeah.
thing.
I spent an embarrassingly long time paused
Yeah.
on that image trying to think, what fucking race is this? I've never seen this race before. And then I was like, oh shit, this is an ogre.
Yeah.
It's stupid me. It's not a playable race.
Other than
Right.
that, I don't.
Undead
Oh
stuff,
well,
which
and
is-
then undead stuff, of
Which
course.
is interesting.
Undead, I
'cause,
was gonna get into
undead
that,
don't
yeah.
just pop up for no reason in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the I'm just scanning through the trailer right
Man,
now
this
to
is
see the
this
ones
is
that
gonna
I
be-
saw.
There's gonna be too much in here. This is gonna be the rest of my month for sure. It's just picking through each frame.
I'm also watching the trailer again too.
Yeah, there's so much in here. Anyway, I had a good feel for. I was a little bit concerned about the musical approach. So what I did was I did this. I went back and watched the trailer for the original Pillars of Eternity and how they. I know it's isometric. I get it. It was like 7 years ago or longer than that, but I watched it. I went back and watched the very first Outer Worlds trailer. This trailer definitely leaned more towards the Outer Worlds trailer. The feeling I kind of got, again, I think part of the reason that our reaction to the trailer is going to be a little different than like my wife's reaction, I mean, like somebody who doesn't know anything about Aora, is because I think it was really meant for them and not for us. And we'll probably get a trailer for us at some point later down the road. I think this was more like a Indiana Jones commercial. It was kind of the pounding drums, the flashy images, the tons of combat. And then did I mention combat? And then you get to fight things, and the graphics are fake and plasticky, and it just looked like whereas if you go back and you watch the Pillars of Eternity trailer, yes, some of the music towards the end was a little bombastic, but it starts out, it's very eerie. It kind of builds this mood and this emotion and this feel, you know what I'm saying? And that was the thing I loved about Pillars, was it was so mature, and it was so not just a tone in the writing, but just graphically mature. And by that, what I mean is, hell, the first couple of parts of the game, you see all the people hanging from the tree, and so I just do you get what I'm saying? It just felt it felt a little less mature, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It felt a little more flashy, and not something I typically would think I would see from Obsidian for an RPG, at least. And kind of just, I don't know if rushed is the way I would say it. Was this something that was given to them right after Redfall, where Microsoft said, "Oh shit, you got to put something out," because you know what I'm saying? They have such a great way to build atmosphere. That's why I love Obsidian. I mean, they're the feeling of the world through the music, through the words, and through the tone. It's not a commercial for the sequel to The Flash or something. It's supposed to be Obsidian. And I just didn't get as much of the feel from this.
I
Does
agree
anybody see what I'm
completely.
agree with that, or do you
Obsidian
totally
is a writing
disagree?
based thing. Like, their writing is so good, character driven stuff, but we didn't really get much of that. Maybe just Kai, like that's the closest thing in Obsidian's quality from this. Sorry, Jesse, I interrupted you. You go.
No, I was just gonna say I agree wholeheartedly. I see exactly what you're saying. It reminds me of all the arguments people make about Bethesda games, where they say they're going for more mainstream appeal. And I'm going to apologize in advance for my dog making a noise.
He's very passionate about this.
It's okay.
I'm being real dramatic right now. But
yes,
yeah,
yes.
Don't talk crap
He's a
about
fan.
Bethesda.
Right now.
They're my favorite. I play as a wizard. Mark?
Gonna be honest, my
Fair,
dog.
I
would
didn't
probably
know
have a
what to go
list,
with.
but yeah. Anyway.
Bethesda.
I love Bethesda. Yeah, but anyways, honestly, the when I'm looking at that trailer, it reminds me so much of BioShock.
That's true. It does a
yeah.
little bit.
It,
Although
like,
BioShock had not, I mean, the last BioShock didn't, but the very first one the trailer was very, very mysterious and very, very
Yes.
misty, like you're coming through this mist in this world underwater, and mystery. There's no mystery
Yeah.
here. You come off the
No,
docks,
no.
you get attacked, and there's these blowings, these explosions, a bear comes at you. I mean, it's okay.
It looks like they're just trying to appeal to more people, because I think what they're dealing with is the fact that the type of people that are into games for the things that you get out of like PoE are already going to be interested in this game, because Pillars of Eternity exemplifies so many of those things, like branching dialogue and consequences for your actions and more mature themes. So they're already going to be interested in this before the majority of the rest of the population that play video games. They're just going to see another fantasy game.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was right after Fable, right? And the thing that makes Fable stand out is its irreverence and its
Yes.
humor. And for a lot of people, they're going to look at this and they're going to think Skyrim, or
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're just trying to stand out a little bit. So they're like, look at all our cool effects. And I mean, I'm going to trust that Obsidian, it's not just flashy effects. It's not just, set dressing, when in reality everything is more or less the same. Like in Skyrim, you have spells that are really cool. They look really cool, but they don't really do much outside of just raw damage. And occasionally there's some
Right.
effects, but they're not very useful at the end of the day. I don't think that's the case here, because we see a lot of the spells have different effects, like like the bucking bronco spell. I don't know if you guys remember Bioshock Infinite, but there's
Yes.
bucking bronco plasmid that could just like shoot people up in the air a little bit and hold
That's
them
pretty
there.
awesome.
That was dead ass right in the trailer.
Yes.
That's what it makes me think of, that they're just trying to show that there's a little bit more variety there as far as combat goes.
So Remeran, how do you feel about the atmosphere this trailer portrays? Do you feel like the trailer is going to be kind of what we're going to get as far as atmosphere and theme, or do you feel kind of what I was saying, that this is more of Indiana Jones 6, come and join us kind of thing?
I think it was similar to what you said about audience. I think it was made for a specific audience. It's made for the Xbox Showcase audience. A lot of these people have never played a Pillars game, whereas the Pillars trailers were meant for people who loved the Infinity Engine games. So there's a lot of like nostalgic music, and there's a lot of like quiet, like very orchestral type, slow burn type of music, versus this type of trailer. So like I feel like I do kind of feel like it was a mistake for them not to put like a couple of dialogues in there, just to show that, hey, we know that this is going to be an Obsidian game, but like I don't think you get the idea that it is based off that trailer. It's a very combat heavy, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I think it seems like they're doing some really cool stuff with the combat. It seems like it's very kind of like what I said, Elder Scrolls Online, like very ability heavy.
Yeah.
You see, I think there's one part in the trailer where you see like somebody getting shield bashed.
The shield is like,
which is pretty
cool.
Look
like made out of spare parts, something.
Stone. Yeah, it was like a stone shield. And there's also like someone dual wielding magic and melee. So it was basically designed. The trailer seemed like it was designed to say, "Look how fun our combat is," which is cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see a story trailer, because that's what I play for. Combat is cool, but what I really play for is the dialogue, the companions, that stuff, the story. So I'm hoping to see that.
Games, so I'm like, please give me a charisma option, because I need to play this game.
It definitely came across to me, just the trailer, and I know this won't be the game. I believe it won't be the game. It came off as generic fantasy, and that I think that could potentially be a slight mistake on their part, in false advertising a little bit. Because if I was Joe Schmo, say I'm an 8-year-old and I see this, I'm instantly not going to think there's going to be branching dialogue trees. I'm not thinking that's going to happen at all. So I've been misled effectively. Right. No, they're this is like, oh cool, this is like Fortnite with magic, and I mean,
Oh,
but
no, you're not. Do it.
I'm
Stand
kidding,
by
of
your
course.
convictions.
But
This
what
is
I'm
what it
saying
means.
is,
I'm for it, actually. I want them to rebrand
this
as a
is not
Fortnite in Aora
no.
and then completely pull the rug from under everyone. Do that. Just do it.
Yes. You could, building forts in the middle of the trailer. Yeah, no, seriously, I think this is going to be an Obsidian game. I think that tweet you mentioned signifies that it wants to be. Here's what I think happened. Very, very honestly, I could be 100% wrong, and most of the time I am. But honestly, I think what happened is somebody went to Carrie Patel and said, "Look, I know you don't want to do it, but you got to do it. You need to put 2 people or 3 people on this thing." And she's like, "No." She's like, "We're making a game. We don't have time for this bullshit. We don't have time to appease whoever." And so then, the head of the studio probably like, "Yeah, you kind of got to do it. They're leaning on us a little bit." She's like, "Fine, fuck it." Joe and Chris, you got, yeah, no, I don't want coffee. I'm not asking for coffee. You don't have to go get me coffee. Just come here. I'm going to give you here. There's a folder. There's a bunch of shit in here. We took a bunch of images and stuff. You guys go in the corner real quick. Can you throw something together?
Carrie, what's with
cool.
this change in attitude? You're usually so nice to people. What's going on? Why am I afraid of you all of a sudden?
Right. You don't want us to get you coffee? So I mean, again, of course, I'm being a little bit.
His Carrie Patel impression is not necessarily
over the top here.
Hey, it's me, Carrie Patel.
Yes,
I don't drink coffee anymore.
But seriously, does it? Okay, I'm gonna seriously, Ginger, in here. Does it not feel like? Does it not feel like somebody was given this job on the side, and this was not a very thoughtful trailer? This is like, we got to do this. Let's put some people on it, put something together, make it look nice, show some flashy stuff, and bring it back to my desk. While the core team is going to continue working on making this great game.
And they have to some degree, yeah. And the only reason I say yes is because I've played enough Obsidian games to be like, this isn't why a lot of people play Obsidian games. A lot of people play Obsidian games for the narrative, for the characters, for the choices, and the impact. They don't play it for the combat. Not that they will make bad combat, but like that's when I see this, I'm like, well, that's not really the core thing. That being said, I think Remeran makes a really good point in that this is for Xbox Games Showcase, and it's not going to, there's a wide audience there, and you're wanting to appeal to people. And depending on how far the game is, the combat might be the thing to show off right now. The story might not be, depending on how far along it is or how close they had it done or what they wanted to make it. So honestly, I feel like they actually put a lot of effort into this. I think they put a lot of thought into what they were going to show. Do I think it necessarily represents what the game will be or what Obsidian is? Not necessarily, but I think it represents what they wanted to appeal to with the audience that was going to see it.
I agree.
I would also argue that Obsidian is very tongue-in-cheek with everything they do, like the response to that tweet that you just posted, Remeran.
Yeah.
I mean, literally the last game they just released was a entirely text-based murder mystery game set in the 1500s, where sometimes you had to click on words and dialogue boxes.
Click this button so you know what the hell is going on.
For what they were talking about. Yeah, you don't know what a diet is in the 1500s? Go ahead and figure it out.
Filthy layman, you uneducated swine.
Right.
Tsora,
Exactly. We had to take excerpts from Wikipedia just so you could understand the context of the game. So I think, I knew a little bit thanks to my boy Kingdom Come Deliverance, but so if they're going to show off something, I imagine it would be the one thing that they're not always praised for. I think the only game I see people say, yeah, the combat was good for the time, was New Vegas, and that's because all they did was add iron sights. It was built mostly around a system that Bethesda implemented. So I would argue that if they were like, let's show off all the dialogue options and gameplay that isn't the one thing that we don't really do a lot of.
And I feel like
almost like a
story trailers for like a smaller showcase.
That's a good.
You showed.
Yeah, you might be right. And there is the Tuesday show. Yeah.
Yep.
Jesse brought up point. I really like the way you worded it, and you're kind of changing my mind a little bit in that you said that they wanted to show off things that they're not usually known for. And when you think about it, they have gotten criticism past, just from general that, oh, they make boring games, and we know that's not true. But they're like, oh, they make boring games. Oh, the combat's stupid. So maybe this is that kind of trailer. Maybe this is like, you know what? You think we don't do things that are fun and exciting and that you don't have a lot of cool shit happen? Watch this. It could be that. And if that's the case, I get it.
Yeah,
I
well,
love the Outer Worlds, but I'm not gonna lie, the AI was dumb as hell in that game.
That's
And
true.
every
Yeah, I agree with that.
every analyzation video I see on the Outer Worlds, they just talk about how awful the AI is. So
Alternate
sense to me.
conversation with Carrie Patel. Hey Carrie, can you figure out a trailer? What do you want to show off? And if they look at their combat and they say, "Oh man, like I think we made something really special. Let's show this new thing off that we're not usually known for." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Look at all these
that.
spells.
I was just kidding, by the way.
One thing that I will say this. I will say that one thing Obsidian's known for, and it kind of goes with what you just said, is they are who they are, and they don't make any apologies for it. And they're going to do what they're going to do, and you can shove it. And which I know can seem, to an outsider is maybe arrogant, but I think it's confidence. I think it's like because they did an interview. We won't talk much about it, but where they basically said, we're not Bethesda. We're not these other companies. We're a company that does this. We're a company that's good at this. So we're going to lean into what we know and what we're good at. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. That is a good attitude, I think, as a game company, especially one that's as successful as they have been. They know who they are. They have an identity. And so I think that kind of that bravado is kind of a good thing.
Yeah. I can't agree with that.
So we took a kind of a quick glance at the trailer. We don't want to make this too long tonight. So anybody have any thoughts, anything else you want to address, particularly about what you saw before we wrap up?
I'm going to spend the next straight week analyzing every single frame and see what we get. I'm excited. Honestly, I don't know, take this as a compliment or an insult, depending on whatever they think. For some reason, after watching that and talking about it and thinking about other Obsidian games, I'm like, I think I should go back and play Outer Worlds again.
I actually am. So they fixed Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition. So if anybody was upset about how it ran like crap,
right.
It's perfectly fixed, at least on PC. I haven't played it on Xbox or PlayStation, but it's fixed now, and I plan on like 100% and getting all the achievements after watching this trailer for sure.
Oh.
I mean, it's a fantastic game, and the DLC is fantastic, and it's definitely a gem in their cap. So, as are pretty much every game they've released, I think, in the past period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think they've ever done anything that's disappointed me. I've been impressed with everything, and I know I'll be impressed with this. And I just want to say to them, if they're listening, and I know they are, thank you for breaking your silence. I don't know if this was, somebody pulling your arm behind your back and making you do it, or if this was on your own. But we appreciate that, and I hope that this is a leaning towards more information than less, and engaging your community and growing your community and helping people fall in love with this world before they even start playing the first thing. I think that's what I want to see from here is let's start leaking stuff. Let's start not leaking. I mean, don't talk to Jez, but let's start. You have your own people. You have your own PR people. You don't have to rely on him. So start, it doesn't have to be another trailer. You could show us some artwork, put it up on the thing. You could show us maybe a section from a page of a lore book or something. It can be really rewarding, I think, to have that kind of relationship. That's what I want to see from here forward. That's why I'm excited about the trailer. I'm not depressed by it. I'm not upset by it. It is what it is. I still think This is the number one game for me coming up, and I'm super excited about it. And what do you guys feel? Are you looking for more, or do you think we're going to get radio silence again?
2024, I think we're gonna slowly get more and more information, and more. What I want to see is like character, almost not deep dives, but like introducing some of the companions. Because just looking at the character model for Kai, that character model is gorgeous. I am just ready to go on adventures with him and go on deep dive conversations, quest lines.
I'll be the first.
I really want to see the other companions as well.
Hot. Let's be real, guys. It's like tell me that isn't a good-looking Amauan. He's not my type.
Let me romance Kai.
Exy is
Andrino. I mean, have you seen The Shape of Water, buddy? That's a movie you should check out.
Yeah. He's in that movie, I think. Yeah.
Same actor.
He plays the fish man, I think.
I think, or the girl, one of the two.
Oh, you know what? It was the girl.
Now we're gonna shift gears a little bit and head overseas to the European host and hear what their take is on the second trailer. So we have our European audience here, our hosts that come from over land and sea from where I am at in Washington, D.C., and we're going to have them tell us a little bit about what they thought from the trailer for Avowed that we saw during the Xbox Summer Showcase. And before they begin, I just want to say that my initial impression, I've had some time to chew on it, which is good. My initial impression was, I'll just be frank, and this is no hate for anybody. Pretty big disappointment. It's and I can get into more of that later as to why. I would say that I've had enough time to chew on it and digest it to where I'm not supremely negative about what I saw. But I do feel like there may be some other issues other than the game going on that concern me a little bit with messaging in the company. But we'll get to that later. I want to kind of jump through. We have with us from Europe, we have Jed Mandu, we have Kiwi, and we have Parenthesis, who you all know. You know all three of them. They've been with us for a while. So I'm going to actually jump off and start with Parenthesis. And I'm really curious, when you saw it, how soon did you realize what it was, is my first question. And how did you feel when you saw it?
I had my suspicion the moment we saw the envoy walking down the pier, and we saw his scabbard and so on waving around, and then when we saw the first interstitial life, we said, "Oh yeah, this is it. This is Pillars of Eternity," and this is about, and how as it goes, my disappointment was immense and my day was ruined. No, it's a trailer that does it no favors by sounding very visually bland at the start, but we'll come back to that. It does not put its best foot forward.
Yeah, I definitely I see where you're going with that. I mean, there's the initial excitement when you realize what it was. I mean, it's like finally three years later, we're getting something. We're getting some communication from the company. They're actually showing us product at this point, not just a CGI trailer, which is what we got last time. Hopefully, some of that was actual gameplay. I assume it was because that's the way they advertised it. Did you feel, Parenthesis, that and like you said, we'll dig a little deeper into the visuals and stuff like that later. But do you feel like this is what you expected from the Living Lands?
No, but I knew that I had gotten a wrong impression of the Living Lands. In my mind, somewhere, I think it had crossed across with the Dishonored. What's called they have a consonant that whose name I forget, which is just basically the Pandician consonant. Yes, that's it. Where everything is dangerous and wants to kill you, and that somehow got lodged with the Living Lands. So I'm actually surprised how temperate looking it was, and was disappointed in that. I'm sure that it says a lot to fans who love the fact that now we're going to a temperate Europeanish location, but I'm sort of like, oh, great.
Yeah, I get you. So Kiwi, I'm curious. I know you got to see it. You probably watched it a couple of times. What is your impression? How do you feel about the game at this point?
This podcast, like other episodes of it, is our proof that we are not paid by Obsidian. They have made a lot of mistakes in the past, and the last time they didn't make one was PoE 1. Okay, so I didn't expect to see Avowed. I saw Avowed. First, I thought there's gonna be some Assassin's Creed game, but it was Avowed. I'm not so much worried about what I saw in the trailer. I'm worried about all the things we didn't see in the trailer. Obviously, it was rushed. Someone from the Microsoft, their overlords, told them that you need to make a trailer now, and you will have the game next year. So there was a lot of like assets missing from the trailer. I only saw humans and one Aumaua, no elf dwarves or the furry halflings, and no godlikes. So a lot of art assets are missing. So that's my initial take on that.
What did you think of the narrator, Kiwi, when we saw, what was his name, Kai, that they gave him? What did you think of him?
He was a quite civilized island, Aumaua, probably Huana. He is one of the companions. Looking from the trailer, I can't really say much about him. I don't even know what class he is. Probably could be a druid. Who knows? The other two companions that we saw were pretty bland looking. What was I saying?
They definitely presented him. I don't know if jovial's the word, but that kind of came across a little bit for me. The personality, I mean, personality is personality. You can't assign personality to race, but it was a little interesting. The stunning graphics for him. I mean, there's no question. The skin and everything was gorgeous.
I'd say he's probably one of the first companions we will meet, if not the first, because it's from what he said, it seems that your player character is very new to the place and people don't know how to react to the guy. And you are an envoy of the Eater Empire. I want to make analog to Tyranny, the game by Obsidian.
Yeah.
You are a faithbinder there, but now you are basically, you come as an oathbinder or something else. You have a station, I'd say, but what you're gonna do with that station, we don't know. I don't know if we are going to be a watcher or not, because Kai, this guy, is telling that they are fearful of our powers. So what are we? I don't know. We are a human or an elf, but watcher or no, I don't know. We have some powers.
Yeah, they didn't give us enough information probably to figure that out. So Jed Mandu, the moment of truth when you saw it, I'm sure initially when you saw the Obsidian come up after the Assassin's Creed intro, you were like, "Oh, sweet, this has got to be Avowed." What happened? What transpired as you watched the whole thing? Was your interest raised at the end? You're like, "Oh my God, this is better than I thought it would be." Were you disappointed, or are you just kind of, I'm gonna wait and see?
I think my expectations were met. I was whelmed. Not overwhelmed, not underwhelmed, just regular old whelmed. I honestly, the art style, I know people sort of have been kind of ragging on it and how it's kind of low fidelity, and it is kind of low fidelity, but I think that it feels consistent for some reason for me. I don't know. It's just the way the characters are the way the characters move, the animations that we see, it feels very Pillars of Eternity. It feels very like Infinity Engine for some reason, which is weird in a first-person perspective. I think that's why it kind of doesn't hit quite right. But who knows? There's still plenty of time to firm up that stuff. You can iron out some wrinkles in the next year or so and possibly have a very pretty game. But I think that as far as my expectations, what I was expecting was a first-person game set in the Pillars universe, the world of Eora, with sort of Skyrim-like combat, for lack of a better term. Weapons / magic being wielded per hand, right? We saw that, and as far as the setting, I mean, yeah, it's definitely got a lot of like boilerplate fantasy going on, which is not great because it's the Living Lands. It's kind of supposed to be chaotic, but at the same time, I mean, we do have those extremely colorful, like purple and green dominated scenes that we get little flashes of it here and there, little flashes of something a little bit more unique, a little bit more Obsidian, a little bit more Pillars, that I think I'm really going to enjoy. Really what it comes down to for me is the writing up to the same quality as it was in previous games.
What's up with an Obsidian trailer with no story elements and no evidence of a dialogue tree? What's up with that?
Well, I think they wanted to lean more cinematic, and it's not that we didn't get any story elements. We got a couple of little drips of knowledge, like Kiwi said. I actually was thinking of Tyranny as well, which is why I groaned when you said it, Kiwi, because I was like, "Oh, we're the envoy of an emperor sent to a foreign land, and we're apprised of we're possessed of great power." And
oh my god! Now that you mentioned it, Kiwi, you're absolutely right. Oh my gosh!
Don't know whether to fear us or cooperate with us, because they fear us, and it's. Honestly, I feel like more people should have played Tyranny to begin with, so it's kind of cool that we're seeing a little bit of an echo there. I wouldn't mind that, honestly. Sort of a retread of some of those themes in a more, I guess, accessible form.
So Kiwi brought something up I want you guys to respond to. So I'll go to you first, parenthesis. And I kind of like what he said, and it's an angle that hadn't really fleshed out completely in my head. And that was he kind of hinted that maybe this was not something that they put a lot of thought into. Maybe this was something that Phil Spencer came to them after Redfall and said, "Dude, we're in trouble. You got to put something out." And then maybe Carrie Patel looks over to the side and picks a couple of interns and says, "Look, throw some shit together." Or is this something that they have been working on for months, and in everything that they did was intentional, which is typical Obsidian, very intentional moves, very deliberate wording. Every word that drops is deliberate. Every scene that drops is deliberate. They're not just throwing crap together. So do you feel, parenthesis, this was uncharacteristic and maybe this was a bit of a rush, or do you feel like this is the messaging they wanted to send?
One of the conclusions I've come to since last night is that I have this feeling that this is a trailer where they don't want to scare non-fans of Pillars of Eternity away. They want to say to everyone, "Oh, you can come here. This is not some elaborate universe where you need to know everything. It's got sort of, assholes you need to fight, and you have some power, and this green-blue dude that we get to know." So yeah, when I think about it, this might actually just be a Microsoft mandated rush job where they need to throw something together to attract, to show that they have some awesome RPGs in the pipeline, and therefore they show us this slightly sub Dragon Age Origin-esque trailer.
Yeah, Jed Mandu, rush job or deliberate, very well thought out Obsidian type presentation?
So I think that what we're seeing in this trailer, by and large, is a smattering of some very early game areas. Because we're seeing, like I said, a lot of that like boilerplate fantasy stuff, which is sort of what Pillars 1 kind of did. Well, okay, maybe not, but we're seeing it's like you said, the corpse tree and everything. That's not exactly boilerplate, but we're seeing a lot of safe imagery smattered with a smattering of more, of deeper setting detail. Like we had a whole thread in the Discord about the imagery on the banners in the harbor.
Yeah.
So I think that I don't think that it's necessarily a rush job. I think that there are still some things they need to iron out graphically just to sort of get it up to snuff.
Is there a possibility? Is there a possibility that this was called Avowed for a deliberate reason? Is there a possibility that Obsidian is trying to send a message that this isn't your grandfather's Pillars of Eternity game? We're something new. We're something different. We're recreating. We're reinventing. Clearly, this is not from the trailer. At least this is not a mature dark fantasy title, as the original trailer implied. This is jovial. This is colorful, less epic in scope, and not really like AAA fantasy style. It's more Outer Worlds. I mean, I hate to say that. I said this to the other guys. Jez Corden was right. This is Outer Worlds. This is Outer Worlds with the fantasy bit of paint on it. That doesn't mean it's bad. Outer Worlds was not bad.
Let me puke.
I mean, it wasn't great, but as far as Obsidian games go, it wasn't great. But yeah, you're right. It wasn't bad. I don't know that I share the opinion that this is going to be a more lighthearted, rompy kind of game. It's definitely not going to be Outer Worlds rompy, because I mean, I think we are still dealing with some pretty heavy themes here. We're dealing with themes of empire. We're dealing with this soul plague. Like, we've got these horribly deformed corpse people with like Last of Us growths all over them. Like, because I've seen that same criticism all over the place on the internet over the past day, and like, I don't quite understand what's driving that.
Oh my
just
God.
how colorful it is? Because
oh my God. Okay, so do this for me. All you have to do, and this is just me telling you how I feel, go back and watch the bill of goods that we were given in 2020 and watch the trailer. Then come and watch this. It's like going from Lord of the Rings to the Flintstones. It's extreme. It's extreme.
So you're talking about the sort of Balrog of Moria
it's extreme.
initial trailer that we got.
90% of this trailer was combat. I went through and did a time scope. 90% of this trailer is fighting and combat and magic. Hell, can we even play a non-magic character? I mean, what is this? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. Obsidian has never really truly disappointed me. I think they're a great company. What I'm trying to say is maybe this was intentional. Maybe this was them ripping the Band-Aid off. They knew it was going to hurt a little. They knew this was coming. That's why they were quiet for so long. They're like, maybe we don't want to say anything because we're going to catch a lot of shit for this. Microsoft came in and said, you got to show something. And they're like, dude, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. I mean, we know this is not going to be Pillars of Eternity game. This is not going to be M-rated. This is not going to be mature. And it's still going to be a great game, but we need to show people now what this really is going to be. We gave them a false impression. We sold them a bill of goods, a bait and switch to say, and let's be fair to them. Not every studio should be expected to go full AAA. And in a way, it's probably unfair for us and me to expect them to kind of shoot for the stars and create something epically grand in scope that isn't something they've ever really done before. Maybe they should stick, like their leader said, in their comfort zone, and maybe that's where they should stay.
I wouldn't mind an isometric Pillars sequel. Of course I wouldn't. I fucking love those games. Otherwise, why would I be here? But also, as to your point of the trailer being like 90% combat, it is listed officially as the Avowed gameplay trailer. which it's kind of arguable whether dialogue and story and stuff is like whether it belongs in a trailer that's specifically there to show off gameplay. I think it should be somewhat, because if we're expecting like a deep dive kind of script, something really heavily thematic, then part of the gameplay, it can be argued, is engaging with those themes through dialogue and through.
But you cannot ignore the tonal difference between what we were told in 2020, which is more in line with Pillars of Eternity, to what we've been told now. Tonally, it is an extreme difference.
I agree. The game doesn't feel like Pillars in a way. Like the feeling's not there. I liked Pillars 1 because it was so serious and so dark. Like I don't want this game to be the funny, quirky, light-hearted thing that the Outer Worlds was. I hate that kind of stuff. I want a game that's not peak Reddit, like the height of mediocrity. I want Pillars.
I mean, parenthesis, what are your thoughts on that? What we were just talking about.
I mean, it's fair enough to want something that I feel that one of the big original sins of Pillars of Eternity is that it went with such a dark and serious storyline in the first game. The first game, to remind ourselves, was about a country that in 15 years did not have reliable births of children with souls. It happened now and again, but most of the time they were born without souls. They are going through a more or less a children of man scenario. This is a terrible, terrible place to be. And I think that's one of the reasons why the motif is so dark and it's so serious. This is a terrible world we're living in, a world where most children aren't born in a proper state to take care of themselves eventually. The second game takes place in a entirely different part of the world and deals with entirely different subject matter, and therefore the tone is also different. And I think this also will happen here. I don't know how good it will be because it's not ready yet, but I fundamentally reject the idea that the Pillars of Eternity has to be dark. It's fine to want it to be dark, but to believe that in its DNA it has to be a grim, dark world and it has to be a grim, dark story is just fundamentally not correct.
And I agree with you 110% there. I agree with you more than 110%. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you've already delivered your message in 2020. Now you're changing it. That's the problem.
And what's the tonal shift? I don't like. We can agree that we can't have the same tone as some other game, but we like there's a lot of evidence to say that this is after PoE2's ending. After that, where the wheel is literally broken, and this will have dire metaphysical consequences. I'm saying the tone should be quite disastrous.
Well, and the thing is, it still could be like lest we forget, all of the dialogue in this trailer that we're getting is from Kai, who appears to be kind of, like you were saying, kind of more of a jovial, like, I guess, smarmy.
He's gonna be a skip.
He's your buddy. I think that's what Parenthesis said. He's going to be your main companion, and I believe that's true.
And like, I don't think that we can really get a like you said. I mean, the trailer is like 90% combat. It's hard to get a sense really of what the tone of the writing is going to be like outside of this one character. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying not to like jump too hard to conclusions, and that could just be me, rabidly huffing copium. But
well, I think I made it very clear here and before. This is going to be a good game. This is going to be an Obsidian game. I'm sure I'm going to like it. I don't know how much if I'll love it as much as I did the other stuff they've done, but I know it's going to be good. I trust their story. I trust their writing completely. my concern has always been messaging, and I just am confused at their choices. I'm just so confused.
Part of me wonders how much of it is sort of organic, like drift, because it has been multiple years since that reveal trailer released, and projects tend to take on a life of their own and change.
That's a lot of change.
They get away from you. I don't know that again, I'm not sure exactly how much we're going to see. I think,
so when they originally were talking about this, if you remember, when they did actually have some, not much, but they had some quips from the studio and from the head of the studio specifically, who talked about this is their attempt to go into the AAA format. They wanted to do something epic in scope, and they wanted to kind of challenge themselves. And that was where we were coming from. This is I guess analogy for me would be for me to sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to make risotto. I'm comfortable making rice, but I'm going to make a really nice risotto, and it's going to be delicious. And I can do this. I believe in myself. I can do this. I go to do it, and then I'm like, shit, this is freaking hard. This tastes like crap. I'm just going to go back to my rice. That's what this feels like to me. This feels like, well, let's go back to what we're comfortable with. We did it with Outer Worlds. It's pretty easy. We can bring over some of the assets, and it's really about the story anyway. What do we care? Let's just, kind of do what we did before. Let's not try to push ourselves too hard and make something epic or big. We're that small studio. We're not Bethesda. We're the little ones. We can do this. That's the sense I'm getting, whether that's incorrect or not. That's cool. The impression.
I think that's possibly pretty accurate. And by the way, you are speaking to the guy whose favorite way to make scrambled eggs is to try and make a French omelet and then fuck it up real bad.
There you go.
So if that's the metaphor, then I'm probably gonna like this game a lot.
Sunny side up.
Yeah. So parenthesis, do you want them, would you have preferred them to take a little longer and push themselves to do something that is out of their traditional scale? Are you okay with this being basically a pared down, more the size and scope of Outer Worlds, but with a little bit of fantasy dressing and a good story? Are you okay with that?
Most of the time I would have said yes, but they built it up. Now I think they have to put out and go home, honestly. I'm literally just 2 minutes ago I was thinking, you know what, Obsidian, just get some of your writers to pair up with a coder and write a choice script game. Instead of the Pillars of Eternity world. I'd buy it. There's no graphics in that. There's no audio. That's just text and you make choices. But I'd buy it.
I'd buy it.
But now they've primed us. They've said, oh, we've heard the rumors from years back about Fergus wanting to make a Skyrim-like game. They've spent so many years on it. They've made the trailer. For goodness sake, just swing for the fences. If this trailer is accurate, even the Amaur have the same body size as normal people. For goodness sake, make them larger. I know there might be a problem with doors, but this shouldn't be with the outside of the realm of human ingenuity to fix. Even the ogres are small. This is your world. This is a special world. It has special things in it. Please show it. Please give it to me. You've already thought it up. Now we just have to implement it. It is within the realm of human ingenuity and work.
I'm gonna say it again. What I'm saying always. It was a mistake not having Josh Sawyer directing the game.
I would agree with that.
Now I would agree with that. No, originally I didn't feel that way, but now I'm like, yeah. I'm disappointed mainly, not with what we were gonna get. I'm fine. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna probably love it. Like I said, I anticipate that I'm gonna love the story. Now that the Band-Aid's ripped off and I have adjusted my expectations, I think it'll be fine. But it's that initial disappointment, that mixed messaging, the running of the company. That's what concerns me, is that this can't continue. You've got to fix your shit. You've got to go to business school or something. This is not good. You go 3 years silent. If you knew this was going to be the direction you were going, you should have told us a while ago, and this would not have happened, because now you have the entire world's audience looking to see if Xbox is going to go under and screw up, or if they're going to have a great showcase. So many eyes were on this. If you had fixed that messaging a year ago or a year and a half ago, this would not have been as much a problem. But you made this stage, this grand stage, and you took your stand here with a minute 30-second trailer, and I mean, you did it to yourself. There's got to be some things that Phil Spencer can do. I know they're great friends. I know he trusts the company, and they are a great company, but they're just not good at the PR, and they're just not good at managing expectations, communicating. Those are an issue, and that can hurt the game in the long run.
Yeah, the expectations thing does get me, and I do hear where you're coming from, because like think about it like this. Like if that reveal trailer had been released, say 6 months to a year ago, and then we got this gameplay trailer as a follow-up after that, like, yeah, maybe there would have been a little bit of, okay, well, this is a little bit different from what I was expecting, but that's all right. But it wouldn't have had all of that time to build up all of that momentum and all of that hype, and to do so in utter silence and leave the entire community just kind of going like, just building this simulacrum in our heads from scraps of what we think the game is going to be like, because that's just what you do when your trailer schedule is like that, when it's that quiet for that long. Hype builds,
communication,
and that's dangerous.
I don't even mind the graphic fidelity that people have been complaining about. I don't care, as long as you have an art style. But I don't think I saw anything distinguishable. Like I couldn't look at the game and say this is from Eora. Or even this is from Obsidian. This looks like pretty basic stuff you get from Unity engine.
Well, in their company themselves, this is not anyone else coming up with this stuff. This is them who described the Living Lands as a wild place, not necessarily exotic with purple mushrooms, but a wild place, a place that is untamed, a place that has snow, a place that has jungles, a place that has deserts. The ecosystem is so diverse. Did any of you see that?
I'm wondering if those environments aren't ready yet, or not polished up enough to be shown off, because I agree. Like we did just see forest, and we saw mushroom zone. Now we did see mushroom zone with some cool like lava and like volcanoes and sulfuric vents and stuff in the background. That's kind of cool. Specifically in that like time lapse shot where we're getting a day-night cycle. So that gives me hope that maybe we will see more of that diversity in setting. Otherwise, I mean, what's the point of setting it in the Living Lands, like you said?
I feel like it reminds me, or if Obsidian, if I were to ask AI that give me Outer Worlds but in fantasy setting, this would probably what I get, like really colorful, lots of contrast. Like there's a lot of contrasting colors in the scenes, like eye candy type of stuff that was like in a way off-putting.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on, though. We kind of have talked a little bit about how we feel. We've talked about the graphics and the location. I'm kind of curious about how your impression of the magic, because it was such a huge part of the trailer, them showing off magic abilities, the use of magic in combat. And did you see anything in there that you're looked at and you're saying, oh my God, that's the blank spell from Pillars of Eternity? Okay, tell me what it was.
It was oh God, I haven't played the game it's been too long since I played it, but it was the missile spell. The
Uniota's magic missile?
One of them, yeah. Where is it? Trailer right now, trying to find it.
I think I know the scene you're talking about.
Yeah,
actually.
it's like there's like a bunch of little purple motes of light and just all home in on a target. That's definitely Milota's minor missiles or something like that. Besides that, not really.
Actually, towards the end, there's the black hole looking like sphere where it grabs all the corpses or soon to be corpses and drags them towards them. I'm pretty sure that's the pull of Aurora.
Oh yeah,
Fireball.
Yeah, it might be.
Flames of Devotion, double pistols.
Ooh, oh, that's what that was. Yeah, I was wondering about that actually, because I was like, ooh, there's like a holy enchant on the pistols, but or an electricity thing, but I think that is Flames of Devotion.
So do you think, parenthesis, I'll throw this to you. Do you think we're going to get mana pools, or do you think the purpose of the way that they're handling the magic is that it's time-based and that the more difficult spells take longer to cast, and that's going to be how they kind of handle the whole mana argument? How do you think that's going to be handled from what you saw in the trailer?
I have a feeling that they'll probably go towards the mana points, if I have to be honest. That would seem like a logical choice with the rest of the aesthetic and focus on combat.
I disagree.
Please share.
I'd say it's gonna be like PoE2 style mixed with the PoE tabletop RPG rule settings, where it's a classless system where you will choose powers like you have in Pillars games, like Guile, Focus, Discipline, Arcane, but these class specific powers, and then you will have spells, and different spells will use different amount of power. You will have a set amount of powers, and they will regenerate at some speed. But I don't think mana, because then you would basically share it with all the spell types. No, I think it's gonna be like, but it basically it's like you can build a full priest or full paladin if you want, but you can dual class, you can multi-class, or if you are that kind of person. But yeah,
well, not in this one, but anyway. You used to be able to do
no
that.
Classes, baby.
Who needs classes? Why do we want choice? It's just an RPG. Anyway, creatures. Did you guys see anything in there that you're like, oh yeah, that's from such and such, or I remember fighting that? Or what are some familiar beasts that you saw?
Well, there's Zorops. Yeah, I was actually a little bit disappointed with the bestiary on display, because it's all kind of the most again, going back to that boilerplate complaint I had, like we get Zorops, which are basically sort of kobolds. We get skeletons, like a shit ton of skeletons, which are the most basic fantasy enemy you could possibly have. We get this like ogre, I guess. I think that's an ogre.
Maybe.
And then besides that, it's like humanoid enemies. Spiders again.
There was an insect enemy also.
Yeah. I like, honestly, the thing that caught my eye was the infected creatures. The
bear.
Yeah, the bear and the humanoid kind of spore carrying things. We've had fungal enemies.
Oh yeah, ghouls and super mutants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, from Pillars. Yeah, we've had spores and stuff before. It's interesting to see those kind of, maybe there'll be a little bit more of a narrative focus on those this time.
I didn't feel that the skeletons were menacing enough. It felt like I was watching a Disney cartoon. I mean, with the super glowy eyes and the
glowy eyes. Fucking,
I don't understand that choice. Yeah, I just felt like I was watching a Disney cartoon. I mean, I'll get used to it. I mean, like I said, I'm willing to change and adapt. But it was different. It was, again, along the lines of what I was saying, not as mature as I thought it would be, maybe focusing on a more generalized crowd. I will be surprised if this gets an M rating. I'll be honest with you. And maybe that's their goal, is not to have that, is to maybe have that general audience, to maybe lower the grade so that they can attract more buyers or more interest. And that's fine if that's your goal. And it's good to know that now that's what your goal is, because now I can adapt. When I play the game, I'm not going to look for this mature environment. I'm not going to see the tree with all the dead people hanging from it. I'm not going to see that. I'm going to, see the cartoony skeletons and such, and that's fine. I'll shoot them with my magic, since that seems to be all I have. And I'll do all that. That's great. Although in fairness, there was a sword, so at least they showed one sword.
There was an axe.
Oh, the axe. I got to remember the axe.
Tsora.
The mace.
I get to play there was a mace too. See.
All right.
There was there was the whole Skyrim weapon class system on display. But I'm just happy I get to play a gun wizard.
Yeah.
I think that'll be fun.
Hopefully tomorrow. Well, as we're recording this is the day before the Tuesday reveal, in which it's been verified that they will be talking a little bit more about Avowed. In that, I'm kind of curious as to how deep they're willing to go. I kind of get the feeling, she is gifted. There's no question Carrie Patel is gifted. What she did with the DLC for Outer Worlds, the fact that she's a dedicated writer, and there's no question this woman is super talented and super brilliant. I do get the feeling that she's maybe a tad bit more of the poker player who likes to keep the cards closer to her vest. And probably that's a PTSD maybe from being a woman in the industry, is that you don't want to reveal too much because you'll get slammed. But I'm guessing we're not going to get as much as we would want to see tomorrow in the extended showcase. Although I hope I'm disappointed. I hope I'm disappointed in myself, because I hope I'm wrong and they spend 30 minutes talking about how this is more like Pillars and how they are respecting this world that has been created by their company for so long. They're not just throwing it in the trash. They're, and maybe like one of you said, I don't remember, this is the trailer for the masses. This is the one trailer they're going to release to try to bring in those people who aren't Pillars players, to bring in those people who maybe are more casual, bring in those Fortnite players,
I don't know. I don't know if there's some people who were pulled by the trailer to play that. Browsing what I saw in social media, it's either people outright hating the trailer or Obsidian fanboys defending it.
Yeah, it really didn't show enough cool setting stuff, I think, to really draw in anyone new, which I think is a major failing of this trailer. But yeah, I'm with you, Tsora. I like I said, I'm whelmed, and I'm ready to eat crow on my nitpicks with.
I hope I eat crow. And what is with this trend online of people who are? Why are you automatically a hater if you have high expectations and honorable critiques of something? Why does that make you a hater? Why do we have to love everything? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too, because I think that it takes a lot of love to see the flaws in something and to have standards for a property.
Yeah. I want Obsidian to succeed, but they keep making things that I don't appreciate that much. But because they made PoE 1, I know they can make some good stuff. I don't know if the people are still working there who made that, but I can live in hope. No, I'm not hating it because I chose. I'm just saying the trailer was not what we wanted to be, or not even what we expected to be.
And maybe maybe you were onto something when you said, I wish they would release a Pillars of Eternity text adventure. Maybe you were onto something, honestly, because maybe we don't know. Maybe they want this to be one of those intellectual properties that is divergent and that you can appease both audiences. Maybe there's something in the works we're not aware of. Maybe Josh is going to see all the hate that's coming out. I used the word that I shouldn't have. The criticism that's coming out, and he's going to say, you know what? I might dip my foot back in. Let me make another isometric game. Those people will be happy. It won't cost as much to make. It'll be darker. They want dark, we'll give them dark. And then we can have the happy-go-lucky Flintstones version. And then so we have both. and then everybody's happy.
Yeah, we hate your game, Josh.
I
No.
I
About
think
the
that could be
IP.
the case.
About the IP, this is a general critique about the setting, and this applies not only to PoE 1 and 2, but not just Avowed, but all the lore, because this setting is, well, it's a fantasy setting, of course, and it distinguishes itself from others with the soul stuff. But there's also the thing like this unique take that, there aren't any higher beings, or there originally wasn't in the creation, and it was only kids who through this soul science made themselves in the gods. They made the apotheosis to happen, and because souls are also like material and malleable, everything, like if you look at it closely, it's like everything feels like fabricated after that point. And it also like removes some of the wonder you can have in the game or in the setting, and it also means that they can't be some other IPs where you can just pull some big old grand enemy out of your ass and place him as the interesting last boss of the game. What you're actually left with is only old ruins by old civilizations that are already dead, and the gods that made them. And as we've seen in both games previously, it's always been some god up to something. And I can't but think that again, it's another god doing something, and this time Remeran, because who else makes plagues?
Interesting.
Good point. I do want to address this before we finish today. I wanted to get your argument for something in particular. So, parenthesis, I'll start with you, and then we'll go down the list. But when is this game in the timeline? Parenthesis.
My best bet is that it is post Deadfire. That's it is mainly feeling, but I mean, we saw in the trailer the insights of a laboratory, an elemental laboratory, where they were working with a large pillar of Adra. So it can't be too far in the past, and I'm just, I don't know, it's just vibe based. There's something there that is my best guesstimate. It also has the advantage of you don't have to, they don't keep the narrative team don't keep having to hold the tongue in the middle of. They don't have to ensure that who knows what and what is it, and when I wrote this, did I remember that the entire world doesn't know this and that. So if you just put it after Deadfire, then you don't have to think about who knows what and so on. Nope, the wheel has already been shattered, and we just have to contend with this reality.
Okay, Kiwi, do you agree with that? You think it's post Deadfire?
There are many reasons to say why it's post Deadfire. It can't be too much earlier than Deadfire because it has flintlock weapons, but also we don't know from POEs much about Living Lands. It's basically some wilderness. But now we see that there are big city, at least one of them, and there are settlements throughout the place. So it's definitely in the future.
Okay, Jed, do you agree with that?
Yeah, pretty much. Like Kiwi said, as of Deadfire, gunpowder weapons have only been around on Aora for about 200 years, so it's within that time frame, but also just again nerdy setting details. Looking at the flags on the dock, we've got the Hawana flag up there, which is super interesting. And I don't know, like it's such like a current as of Deadfire cultural reference, I guess, that like I don't know. It feels like having it be pre-Watcher wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
Also,
Okay.
there's the flag of the White March, which was pretty much a non-entity until the Durgan's Forge reopened.
Oh yeah, true. And that's
that's
something that
good.
we did as the
One,
Watcher.
so
That's the best argument so far.
Oh, yeah.
I see what you're saying with that one. Okay. All right. So that I think you're probably right. I think it's definitely logistically the right thing to do as far as writers and stuff go. So we're gonna end, but I'm gonna ask each of you. I'm gonna push you to do this because I don't want this to be super negative. And I'll start us off. I want us to each kind of say something that either we liked in the trailer that we're excited about, or say something that that I wanted something that you're looking forward to based on what you saw in the trailer. So I'll start. As much as I ragged on the magic and as much as I was disappointed that it was 90% of the trailer, and then maybe this is more combat oriented, but I do think the magic looks exciting. I do think some of the way that they showcase in the trailer, it looks good. It looks like they put a lot of effort and work into that. And they obviously wanted to showcase that work and show off some of the really cool visual effects that are associated with casting and what happens after you cast it. So I will give them kudos on that. That was pretty cool. I think that's something that a lot of people raised an eyebrow at, especially people who aren't Pillars fans. That's something that they would really get drawn to. Parenthesis, what's your positive take?
My positive take is that there's a big chance that once again we're going to play as someone who has sort of the same level of power and authority as Intera in this Fatebinder. We are someone who technically has power, technically has authority, but can be gainsaid and you sometimes you have to defend yourself with extreme violence. That's always a fun role to take, just to see how much your own personality just goes from, well, let's try to get everyone to agree and okay, you have your opinion, and to no, I'm the main player. You will do as I say.
I like it. Very good. All right, Kiwi. I know this is hard, man. Tell me something good.
It's good that we can only play humans and elves. The other races are kind of cringe, to be honest. Well, I like that there we will learn more about Aether Empire, because it's been kind of in the background, kind of like we haven't met a lot of people from there. We met one annoying mage and one oathbreaker at least, but not much more. It will be interesting, and the trailer showed that it's a kind of a divided at least in the top, because it says that we're basically sent by the queen, and because the emperor himself couldn't bother to come here. By the way, in the trailer there's a mistake in the English language. It should be couldn't be bothered, but so I mean it's not so polished after all. But yeah, I'd like to learn more about this fascinating culture, because if you read the wiki article, it's like it's kind of cool place, kind of this ritual alliance between humans and elves.
Excellent. I agree with that 100%. Okay, Jed Mandu, putting you on the spot here. I know you got several things. Pick one positive thing that really stands out to you.
Besides the fact that I could be a gun wizard, which I've already covered, I actually, this might be a little bit of a spicy take, but I actually kind of like the glowy mushroom aesthetic. It just, something about it just feels extremely Pillars of Eternity to me, and it makes me hype, makes me feel like I'm, getting back to the setting that I
you
love
remember
so much.
what was the name of that Obsidian DLC where they did that for Elder Scrolls? It was like the second or DLC, or it was the one where they had the land with all the big mushrooms and stuff.
Oh, what was that called? Oh my god.
But that comes to mind, I mean,
the Dragonborn DLC for Skyrim.
not Dragonborn. It was not Skyrim. It was
Shivering
it was,
Isles.
Yes,
Yeah,
Shivering Isles.
dude, I love Shivering Isles.
Yeah, it was great, and it was different, and it was unique, and it was definitely more colorful and more vibrant, and it was accepted. You know, people accepted that, even though it was different than what we had seen in Oblivion to that point, and from the other games. Honestly, well, I guess Morrowind, you could argue, yeah, they kind of had that too, but yeah. So I think that's a cool take. I like all those takes. Thank you all for listening today and hearing what we have to say. We will be releasing another podcast in the next few weeks where we talk more about the Xbox Extended Showcase, the PC Gamer article, and we'll reveal if our feelings about the trailer and what's been revealed have changed at all after some reflection and time. In the meantime, we encourage you to go check out the 20 Years of Obsidian. It's a documentary that just dropped on YouTube today. And we want to celebrate with them. So we encourage you to go watch that and see their progress over the past 20 years. And we can't wait for 20 more years.